Nice young man.
Yeah,
Who is that? Is that Geraldo Rivera on our couch?
Here. How are you?
I'm well, and very, very proud of how Peter is.
Thank you.
Geraldo, do you wake up in the morning and just start tweeting like crazy?
Actually, today he did.
I did when you called me at 7 minutes to 8 and said we wanted to talk about Miss Universe. I then looked at Donald's Twitter feed and said, "Oh no, he's gone off again."
Well, for
on
folks
Miss
who haven't
Universe.
heard, let's show one of the tweets. He said this morning, "Did Crooked Hillary help disgusting checkout sex tape and pass Alicia M. become a U.S. citizen so she could use her in the debate?" And if you missed the debate on Monday night, at one point Hillary Clinton brought up this former Miss Universe, who apparently has been working with the campaign for a while, and talked about her past with the Trump campaign, and apparently she had gained some weight, and it was apparently in violation of a contract I've heard since then, and Trump said things didn't work out well. She has become the object of a lot of the mainstream media attacks on Trump now.
Well, a couple of things. One thing is clear is Alicia is not a downtrodden refugee who washed up on our shores.
Yeah, she's got quite a past.
Yeah, she has a past. I mean, she was implicated in a 1997 murder case in Venezuela, and then subsequently posed for Playboy, et cetera, et cetera. But having said that, why is Donald Trump talking about Miss Universe? What in the world is this about?
Maybe it's because the mainstream media, that's all they've been talking about for 5 days.
To me, this is as lame a direction for this campaign to take as bringing back Bill Clinton's infidelity.
Now, Geraldo, Newt Gingrich said anything can be put on the table if you're running for president, and don't you think he has the right to defend himself after Hillary is bringing it up? And
if you recall, I mean, absolutely it does, obviously. But if you recall the debate itself, when did Donald Trump really swagger and seem presidential? He's talking about trade. He's talking about the economy. He's talking about righting the ship. You know, he's talking about ISIS, and she slept when ISIS was being put. There are real substantive presidential issues. Are we really going to talk about Jennifer Flowers and Paula Jones and you know, Alicia Mercado? I mean, it just seems to me that these are evidences of lack of discipline, lack of focus, and Kellyanne Conway better slap him around, because if you see the polls, he has clearly lost momentum in the last week and 10 days, and part of it is this vulnerability he has to being provoked. They know how to stick him. He should stick to message. Let her take the low road.
So how should he have responded when Hillary Clinton puts out this narrative? The mainstream media, of course, jumps on top of it. It's all over all the other stations. Yeah, or all over all the stations. We're talking about it right now, too. So how is he supposed to respond to that? Because he has to respond in some way.
That's a great question. He has to respond in a way that he thinks will be heard sympathetically by educated suburban women in America. He is losing that demographic to Hillary Clinton. He's got to tailor his message to that.
Well, what
he can't say, all right, I'll write the script for him. She goes, Alicia Mercado. He says to her, listen, I don't want to attack this young lady. You know, she had a career that was whatever it was, but I'm focused on the United States of America. I'm focused on women who are struggling every day. I'm focused on providing daycare for working women. I'm focused on opportunities for women. I hire women. I have my daughter runs my multi-billion-dollar company. There's a positive. Go right past it. He never even heard it. I mean, do you really? I remember, because I was his principal defender, and O'Reilly never forgave me for it, Bill Clinton, not O'Reilly. I was Bill Clinton's principal defender in impeachment. Yes, you were. What people forget is that by the end of the impeachment process, Clinton was more popular even than Barack Obama is today. By the end of it, it struck out so badly. And what men don't lie about infidelity? You know, people identified at a kind of gutter level or street level. They put themselves in that shoes. You can't blame Hillary Clinton for standing by her man. Go on.
But
you're smarter than her, I'm saying.
But he said about
in trade, in immigration.
Newt, who's on the inner sanctum of Donald Trump, said he should not let them bait them into a swamp where they can revel in the mud. He knows. He's saying, do not touch the Clinton scandal, and that guy was in the middle of it.
I've known Donald Trump for a long time. We were both class flirts. I mean, officially class flirts in high school. We grew up in the Mad Men.
Is that in the yearbook?
In the Mad Men era. It is in the yearbook. We grew up in the Mad.
That's what he has to say. He can say that was the 90s.
That's what he should say, exactly. But you know,
I'm not in the beauty pageant industry anymore. That was decades ago.
But do you really want Hillary Clinton, for instance, to bring up the fact that Donald cried broke when it came to Ivana's prenup, paying up the $25 million? He said he didn't have the $25 million. You want all that to be regurgitated? All this kind of gutter stuff? It's just he's past that now.
Right.
But
now he could be a world leader, the best businessman around, right the economic ship.
And you make a good point. But, you know, in the fact that they've been bringing up Bill Clinton's womanizing, for, you know, a lot of the millennials, first of all, don't know what impeachment is, haven't heard about it, didn't realize he was impeached for lying about sex. But the thing is, according to the talking points that the AP got a hold of, essentially what they say is don't blame Hillary for standing by Bill, blame Hillary for trying to destroy the women who made these claims about his infidelities.
But that is a fact-based argument.
Right.
What are the facts? How do you prove it? Do you really want to take 3 minutes out of the debate to pursue a disputed point on what he may or may not have done with Jennifer Flowers, who may or may not have had her own agenda? I remember her from 1992. I mean, it goes way back.
Geraldo, there were a whole bunch of women.
This week, James Comey
But there were a bunch of women in Donald's life, too, Steve.
Right.
That's the point.
Right.
I mean,
Donald Trump wasn't impeached. He wasn't president. He wasn't impeached.
Right. Should we bring back Dynasty and watch Falcon Crest
I remember being with Donald Trump when we were both single men. There was like 10 minutes there, we were both single men.
Wow.
Where he said, look at this, and we go through the Ford model catalog for next season.
Now the
I mean, that's do you really want to go there?
Single guy.
We have single guys, but still, you don't want to go there. You want to talk about Russia. You want to talk about how we gave up half of the Ukraine.
You want to Capitol Hill talking about this FBI investigation and what was exposed in the irresponsibility in which the State Department handled private email in a time in which cybersecurity is on everybody's mind.
But why not? Here, cybersecurity comes up. What is potentially more outrageous, a violation of cybersecurity, than using a private email server that is probably less secure than Gmail? I mean, why didn't he say what I just said? I mean, that to me is a real issue. Do you really want to talk? Bill Clinton was hanging around. Look at Bill Clinton. He's still fooling around with the Energizer Bunny up in Westchester.
You're an expert at messaging.
That's really the Inquirer. You know, he's got the Inquirer vote.
I think in the last 1 minute...
I love the Inquirer vote.
In the last 1 minute, the headline has been the Ford model catalog came out, and was it like the Sears catalog?
No, he got it ahead of time. Yeah, he got it ahead of time.
Where you could hire a model?
Well, you don't hire her.
I don't know what
you ask her to dinner or lunch.
This is my only thing I'll say, and then we've got to go. But this is a different time now. That was back in the 90s. He had a pageant. He said beauty pageant girls. But listen, you can still gain weight and be beautiful. And there's a different...
Why? That's perfect.
Why didn't he say that?
Exactly.
Right.
Why don't you tell
Why
the
doesn't
speechwriters?
run for president?
Why didn't you run? But that's exactly what he says. There are beautiful women, big, little, small, tall, short, beautiful women. I get it. You know, maybe 30 years ago I said things that were rough. Or 20 years ago, I said things that were rough. Now, I would never say that. My daughter has told me. My wife has told me. You know, let's move past.
We have told you.
Thank you.
Former class flirt, Geraldo.
Thanks, sir.